Hi, this is Dr. Dickinson, and I'm going to be reviewing the first assignment for TED 531, which is the Professional Dispositions paper. So we went over this in our first class, our first live meeting, and if you go into the doc sharing, you'll see the templates for you. The first thing you want to do is look at the Professional Dispositions form, which is a self-assessment tool. You need to evaluate yourself. So you can put your student name up here, and you can just type over the information. Okay. And then select the stage that you are in the program, your candidate number, and the program as well. So pretty much fill in all this information. Okay. Then you have the rating scale here, 1 unacceptable, 2 acceptable, and 3 target. So really you want to just measure yourself in terms of what your strengths and your weaknesses are in each of these different areas, and where are some areas that you can grow as a teaching professional. So in the area of scholarship, which is the first section here, you'll want to take a look and think about your problem-solving skills. Are you able to think about different problem situations that come up in your workplace and come up with potential approaches and solutions? Okay, how do you communicate orally? Is this an area where you feel that you need to grow as a professional? And if so, how can you do this? Written communication is also part of scholarship. So how well is your writing? Is this an area for growth, or is this an area of strength? Professional identity and lifelong learning. How well do you conduct yourself in a professional manner? How do you engage in ongoing activities to professional growth? Are you involved in professional organizations? Do you attend conferences? Are you attending school meetings at your site? So those are some areas in terms of professional identity and lifelong learning. And of course, your involvement in this program would fit in here as well. For database case conceptualization, you really want to think about how you use data to form solutions to problems. So say you're looking at students' data in your classroom and you teach mathematics, and you notice that 40% of your class did poorly in statistics. How would you then use that information to reteach, to work with students that might need some additional support? So this area is really focusing on how you use evidence from the data assessment. So it could be homework, it could be CST, IEPs, and how you use this to make a plan for your students on an individual and as well as on a class basis. Teamwork is going to focus on your involvement with other school members. So how do you work well in a team? Lots of times, lots of schools, they have PLCs, which is professional learning communities, and you'd work at a grade level either by your grade or your subject area. So these types of questions here in terms of teamwork really lend itself here. And this can also be reflected in your relationships with your colleagues in student teaching as well. So think about how well you are open to feedback from your supervisor or from your peers, from mentors. Okay, active reflection is another piece that you'll need to think about. So after you teach a lesson, are you reflecting on what worked, what didn't work? What are some areas that you can grow? Are you reflecting on your actions and interactions with your students? Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Maybe I need to try to make more of an effort to get to know a student. So that's all part of the reflection process. And you can also add in some ways that you reflect. You keep a journal. Do you have coffee once a week with a colleague? Those are all things that can help you reflect. Okay, and so in the next area, you'll look at responsible citizenship. And this is a really big area here. So this really ties into your professional dispositions in terms of your time management, your organization, your ability to be dependable. Are you at school on time? Do you turn in assignments when the deadline is? That's all part of being responsible. As well as being respectful of diverse students and diverse colleagues in the classroom, and how do you make that apparent? So are you planning lessons that are culturally relevant? Okay. And finally, standards of exemplary practice, which is the system orientation. Understand that schools, families, and organizations or systems recognizes and effectively utilizes rules, policies, and other characteristics of systems. Okay. So in this area, you want to kind of look at the big picture here, and how are you working with schools, families, and organizations to understand the diversity, understand the needs, understand how they work together, or if they're not working together, what are some ways that you can bridge that gap? All right, so in terms of your responses here, you just want to highlight the sections. You can just click on the highlight, pick a color, any color, as long as I can see it. Oops. And you'll just go over the number and highlight it. Okay, so that's for the first section of the paper. You will complete your professional disposition. Now for part 2, you're going to write an essay. Now the student sample is a great template for you to use because it's already in APA format, which is wonderful. You'll see that there's a header here, so you can click on this section. You can change the title. Please make sure that you're including the page number. The running head would be professional dispositions. Okay, and then you could just change the information in here. No need to make it complicated. Okay, and so this is a really good example, but unfortunately you're going to have to delete it. Now, just to review the parts of the paper, you want to really make sure that you are introducing the topic, talking about the structure of the paper, and what you will discuss. Feel free to include a quote that kind of bridges what the paper is about. It's always important to make sure that you're including research from the articles and the books that we're reading. Make sure you're using APA format here so you can see there's the page number, the author, and quotation marks on if you're not paraphrasing and using a direct quote. Okay, then you're going to want to use titles throughout your paper. So scholarship, remember that's the first section that we went over. You don't need to highlight it. I'm just highlighting it for the sake of this recording. And you'll be talking, since you're talking about yourself, it's okay to use first person here. Talk about what your strengths are. Why are these strengths? How are they visible to somebody? So how do I know that this is really a strength? What are some things that you do? What are some actions, whether it's overt or covert? Okay, and then you're going to talk about some areas for growth. Okay, you can say weaknesses, or you can see areas for growth. So each section you'll go through, which appeared in the survey. Okay, then you want to include your references. Again, this is APA format. And be sure to use both of the references for our readings this week, which is the Tomlinson and the Wong. They're here for you. If you want to include additional articles or readings from other classes, you may do that as well. Now, in our final review here is the rubric, which is also included. You're just going to want to go over your paper and just give yourself an evaluation. So, is your essay comprehensive and clear? I mean, it's easy to follow. A great way to do this is print out your essay, give it to someone that you know to read it, and ask them to say, what makes sense? What are some ideas that I could explain in better detail? Okay, so that's for your areas of strength, and then your areas of growth as well. And that's worth 10 points each. And then your organization, mechanics, and grammar. So good rule of thumb, you're going to always want to go up here to the tools and do the spelling and grammar. Okay. Do you have strong sentences, or your ideas well developed? I really want to see that your ideas are not just well developed, but supported by research and supported by specific examples. Okay, and your paper should be at least 4 pages in length, APA format. And I think we talked about that. So that's all for your first assignment. If you have any questions, please feel free to add them to the virtual office, or you can send me an email, and I look forward to meeting you at our first real live face-to-face meeting next Saturday. And we'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much.